Okay, hey, how's it going, everybody? This is more executive Beechcraft funny stories and others. I'd like to start out though with this weird thing that happened the other day, yesterday actually, Sunday. We went to we went out and we had to get some dog food, so we went to the Petco over here, and we went in there and started to go in, and there was a girl there at the door, and she said we couldn't come in because they could only have 5 people in the store at a time, and there was already 4 in there, so that only one of us could go, which was weird. We just come out of the Hy-Vee, and there was, people everywhere. But anyway, so my Lisa and Nicholas went back and got in the car, and I went in to get the dog food. Well, I have a koi pond out in the back, and I wanted to get one more fish, just a large goldfish. They get pretty good size, up to 8 or 10 inches or so. And I wanted to get a goldfish, so I'm over there looking at the goldfish, and the girl comes over. She says, "I'm sorry, but we can't sell you any goldfish." I was like, "Well, why not?" She goes, "Because of the corona thing." I said, "Well, what's that got to do with the corona thing?" She says, "Well, if you were going to feed it to your turtle, I could sell it to you. If you're going to feed it to your turtle, I could sell it to you." I said, "I'm just going to put it in my pond in my backyard." She goes, "No, I felt like saying, yeah, I'm going to feed it to my turtle." That would have been honest, but it was kind of a strange conversation. I'm sure I don't know if the girl caught on that it was weird, but she was obviously told by her managers to tell people that I guess you could only buy stuff that would be eaten by a person, or in this case, a turtle. So yeah, that was a funny start to a Sunday. So yeah, let's get back to executive beechcraft stuff. I'm going to tell this story about us exploring the area back in Rick King's area behind Hangar 1. Rick King / Joe Exotic. Dang, my dogs are up there. Scared the heck out of me. Atticus, be quiet! Sorry. He gets noisy when the mailman comes. So anyway, one night after, in between scheduled airplanes that were coming in, freighters and stuff come in at night. I think it was on a Friday night. Me and another guy, I won't say his name, he can comment if he wants to, decided to be cool. Brent Richardson was his name. We decided it would be cool to go into the back half of Hangar 1, which Rick King / Joe Exotic operated. He had a bunch of stuff stored back in there. It was rumored that there were some expensive cars and other stuff back there. And, it was in the old TWA offices area. It was 2 floors up and down. If you're not familiar with the airport, when you drive by the Broadway Bridge, it's the part of that main hangar right there that you can see. You drive right over the top of it almost. It's that back half part that you see, not the main part of the hangar, but that back area, office area with windows boarded up. Then at this time, the windows weren't boarded up. They were open. No, not open, but you could see. They were dirty, but you could see in there. But anyway, it was like 2:00 in the morning or something, and we somehow found. I almost feel like I'm confessing, but a little bit, I guess I am. But we somehow found. We were on top of the hangar, and we came down on the north end of the hangar, and then we shimmied down a pipe. We were young then, and we came onto a window on a kind of there was a second floor area, a roof area you could stand on there, and we found a window it was one of those swing out windows, and it swung out far enough, and we got in there. Now, all we had was little pin lights, these little bitty pin lights. And man, we were pretty scared. You create things in your mind, to be scared of. So that's what we did. So anyway, Brett and I were walking through this area, and it was the second floor part of it, and it was all old TWA offices. And it's really something pretty cool that not many people got to see other than Rick King and his minions. Not many people got to see that area back there. And it was quite a bit of history there. We walked down one of the hallways there and went inside an open area. It looked like probably a flight planning area there, and it was a big chalkboard on the wall there that had TWA flights leaving at certain times, arriving LA and Chicago, I believe, a couple others, and they just left them on there, the last flights that were out, because I believe that the downtown airport was officially shut down for airlines in 71, I believe. But anyway, we looked in there. It was really cool. We went into other offices, and it had like their names on the, you can imagine like the old style office doors with the glass, half of it's glass, and it has the guy's name or the operation, and what he did. It was one said operations, one said flight ops, I think. And, we were scared. It was dark. You couldn't see a thing. And it was just, and Brent was walking in the front and I was walking in the back holding my flashlight behind me, and he was holding his in front. And every now and then we'd hear these crashes, these noises in there. We didn't know what the heck it was, and we kept walking through there, and we went into a big open area, and what it was a secretarial pool. And you could see where they had like maybe 20 or 30 desks sitting spaced apart with wires coming through the floor to the desk. And you could see that was where somebody had sat and was typing, making flight plans or typing stuff for the airlines or maintenance or whatever they might have been doing there. It was a whole bunch of desks all lined up there, and there was a little elevator. And they had tubes that they ran, that they would send messages all over the area there, the second and third floor, and probably into the main part of the building. And that tube system was still there, and some of the little cylinders that went in it were still there. And it had written on the tubes where each one of these tubes went to. It was pretty cool. Like I said, it was a small kind of freight type of elevator there also. And what we found out these noises was this paint on the walls. It was a real thick, probably lead paint, but it was peeling from the walls in big chunks. And every now and then, one of these pieces would fall. And we actually were in the room when it happened, so it didn't freak us out quite as much, because you would hear these things echo through there. You're like, oh my gosh, somebody's in here, And we're walking through, and we went all the way through, and we went into the downstairs part. And down there in the lower floor, the bottom floor of this, it was a big building. Big, it was the back half of that hangar, so it was pretty good size. And there were a bunch of old cars back there. There was a Chrysler, a pretty cool looking Chrysler, and a couple other cars. There was a fuel truck back there. A bunch of stuff back there. And yeah, it was pretty scary. Yeah, it was really crazy, but it was cool to see the history of the thing. There were a lot of things that went on at night down there that were questionable at best. There was one occasion that was pretty interesting. They were tearing the old terminal down, and they had knocked it down with cranes and all kinds of equipment. And that terminal area that I'm talking about was just where Hangar 2 is right now. And part of that parking lot right there was a big piece of the terminal. And they had bashed it all down, the buildings, and they'd knocked, it's all just crumbled up stuff. And I won't name names again, but I was told by someone that there was a bunch of copper in there. And that copper, even back then in the 80s, was valuable. So I was told that if I wanted to be there at a certain time, that I could help with some with the removal of the copper. And so I said, yeah, that'd be fun. So I went down there with a bunch of other guys who will remain nameless unless they want to name themselves, Larry Taylor and Dan Jones and a couple other guys. We could go down there and cut up this copper and get it out of there. And man, we went in there and there was huge copper pipes like that big and long. We were cutting them up with hacksaws and bending them in half, breaking them, whatever we could. And that night we got a lot of copper out of there. And I think it was Larry or somebody else took it, had it weighed, and then, they divvied out everybody's money. So I got my part. Well, the next couple days, I started hearing some problems. The the terminal guys had apparently planned on removing the copper themselves. The people that worked, I think, for the city, and man, they went in there and they were not happy that copper was gone. But first come, first serve, I guess. So yeah, we had the copper. That was really cool. That was a pretty cool evening there. I think I got like $50 or something. There was a lot of copper. We hauled out a lot of that stuff. Yeah, those were something else. One more quick one. During the flood of '93, there was a big lumber yard down in Riverside, Beverly Lumber or something like that, and the lumber yard was massively flooded, and the lumber floated down the river, and around the airport, the dike, the dike is there, and there's a farm field around between the dike and the river. Usually, they used to farm it. I don't know if they do now, but back then they did. Anyway, it flooded there, and the water was all the way up the top of the dike. I'll tell more stories about the flood later, but that was a pretty interesting time. But anyway, a bunch of that wood and a couple of huge pallets of 2x12s, 2x10s, I don't know how long they were, 15, 20 foot long, wire banded together, had floated up there into that shallower area, and then the river had receded a little bit. And I'm telling you what, people were coming from all over the place grabbing that lumber. And Keith Irwin, the line manager at the time, I went down there and I looked out on the water there, and I saw some people moving around, and it was Keith, and he was dragging this. He and another couple of guys were dragging this giant pallet of lumber, and they broke it down and started throwing it in their truck, and they rocketed it out of there. I mean, it was a lot of wood. Now I'm sure that was all considered lost merchandise to the lumber yard, and I'm sure that a whole lot of that is just sunk somewhere. But I'm also fairly certain that somebody's sitting on a deck right now made from wood from the flood. So yeah, that's the story for today. I got a lot more, and I'll try to do another one tomorrow or maybe this evening. Thanks for sharing, you guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.